Remember when you could delegate tasks, then walk through the office and see evidence of progress all around you? The spreadsheets on the wall, the meetings in the conference room. But delegating in the new economy means you might see employees less frequently, never meet your vendors, and have partners on another continent. Today we're talking about keys to delegating in a distributed world. Joining us are business consultant Mark Levy, who spent 29 years as a marketing executive with National Semiconductor. He's now a member of SCORE, Counselors to America's Small Business. And another Mark Henricks, author and journalist, joins us. His work has appeared in the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and other well-known publications. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Mark
nice
and
to be
Mark.
here.
Thanks, my pleasure.
So when I think of delegating, honestly, I just think of giving orders. It's kind of hard to get around that. But in your book, you say, no, not so. It's a little bit different. How so?
Well, giving orders is the visible part of delegating, and there's a lot more to the actual delegating than it may seem. If you're going to do it right, you have to go all the way back to writing a job description, hiring the right person, training and developing them until they're in the position to accept the authority you want to give to them. And then I think yourself, you have to have the trust in them that they can do it. You have to tell them that you have that trust, endorse their ability, and then give them responsibility to do it and follow up later.
So now we're looking at a workplace that is more distributed with employees all over the globe. How has that affected the workplace generally? Has it made life more challenging?
I think it does place a burden on all of us to figure out how to be better communicators. How do we, over video, over the telephone, how do we make our messages clear, and how do we do clear feedback? Yeah, that's much more difficult.
He keeps saying the word clear, and that is very important. Communication is all about clarity. The second most important thing is clarity, and after that comes clarity. The workforce we have today is the most diverse workforce we've ever had. To me, that's the biggest characteristic of it. You have all kinds of people from all kinds of cultures that are going to be a part of your workforce, and so it's important not to be unclear when you're talking to them. You have to tell them exactly what you want them to do, and don't be vague about it, and try to take into account cultural differences.
Mark Henricks, you talk about the fact that CEOs have to be more specific, detail-oriented than ever before. They've got to document everything. How is that playing out in the workplace?
Well, it's a different role for a lot of CEOs. The best thing to do is to understand your own business and map your own processes and describe your own workflow. And when you do that, then the things that are required to do a good job will become apparent to you. And there are a large number of software tools available to help you document your processes and map your workflows and decide what best practices are and whatever it is that you're doing. And that will tell you how to document it.
What kinds of processes and relationships have to be documented now that weren't in the past?
Well, when you have a project that's being run by a team that's all over the globe, you can't have meetings every day, so you have to do things online. You have to have online to-do lists, you have to share documents online, and at the same time, when you're sharing documents and things like that online, you can have different versions so that everybody knows who did what, and you can make sure you're working with the most recent version of a document or a schedule or a project. And this stuff's not expensive either. There are all kinds of very sophisticated products that are available for companies with budgets of all sizes.
Feel free to chime in here, Mark Levy.
One of the other things that I wanted to mention is we have these tools, but we also find that people work as a social group. And so one of the things that you need to do, even though you're delegating to people in widely different locations, is you need to take some time to work on the socialization, to make sure that everybody appreciates what everyone else on the team is doing, and so that they can all contribute to a common goal. That helps to raise the standard.
Who's doing this effectively, and who has a hard time with it? What contingent of business leaders would you say are really handling this well?
I think folks who are raised with the tools, who are modern. I don't think it really is a generational thing, really, as much as it is who's a good manager. Good managers tend to shine in any level of technology or any level of time, whereas the poorer managers don't get it, aren't good communicators, don't know how to ask people to perform. So it's no different. Good managers behave well.
We're so accustomed to just sending off that quick email thinking that really satisfies everything when it's really pretty one-dimensional, isn't it?
Well, email is universal now because it works really well. But there are a lot of other things out there that people can do that I think in a few more years will be nearly universal because they work very well too. For instance, video. You can put online video on a number of websites, and you can use that stuff to communicate with customers, to communicate with employees, to communicate with suppliers. I think video, for instance, is going to become a much greater, much more widely used business tool than it is today.
Speaking of other electronic tools, Mark Henricks, we were talking earlier about blogging off air. What about wikis? How important is that?
Well, they're very important. One of the great things that technology allows us to do is to gather together expert opinions and kind of systematize and codify them, and wikis are a great way to do that.
Yeah.
You can gather knowledge from your customers, from your suppliers, from your employees, and put it in one place and edit it until you have the best of the best there, and then widely disseminate it. They're very useful.
Right.
And everybody gets the feeling with a wiki that they're contributing. It actually ends up being partially a social tool because everybody knows that everybody can contribute both positively and negatively. So it sort of sets a standard for folks to do the very best they can. Everybody understands what each of their roles are, rather than when you hand out a job description, that individual knows, but it's nice that everybody understands that's his role, that's my role, that's her role, and so on and so forth. And that lets the organization play much better together.
Okay, keys to delegating in a distributed world. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us. Mark Henricks, Mark Levy, it was a pleasure. And for more information on SCORE, go to score.org. You can always find Mark Henricks' books on Amazon.com. This is BizWise TV.